Hello Clash fans, Trample Damage coming you today from the wake of Clan War League, where we did indeed stay in Champion 1. We finished third, we had a decent run, we had started out really well and then everything fell apart. We beat both of those two teams that finished first and second. I feel bad for Predator team because we beat them in the final round, which ended up giving the Gladiators Gold the victory, which they put a little thing in there. Good guys, we love you. There were no shenanigans going on here, no cheating. They just saw that we crushed the guys that were in the lead, which gave them a chance to end up coming out on top. So congratulations to both of those clans. This was a really competitive week. It was fun. But what I want to show you today is something you're not going to believe. I have a clanmate, Duck. And Duck actually was doing some crazy stuff this week. And I said, I absolutely have to make a video of this. This is the army that he's using. It's a Hydra army, which is not really that surprising, but it's a Hydra army with just a whole bunch of lightning spells and a couple of earthquakes, and I know what you're thinking, but Trample Damage, anybody can just do Hydra with a bunch of lightning spells, but we aren't doing the same thing you might normally think. This is all about the Giant Arrow. This attack is kicking off with a giant... Now, I want to be clear here. Duck finished... I'll come back to this replay. Duck literally finished... Number 2 in the clan, he had 4%. He was off, sorry, 6%. He was off 6%. He had one attack that was not a 3-star, and it was a time fail in the first round of the war. And this is really crazy because I saw him sharing a couple of replays, and I thought, oh, that's fascinating, but it's probably not going to be that great for war. And he went in, yes, Champion 1 Clan War League. We ended up having Duck finish with 20 stars. I would like to share this attack with you. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the replay and show you how it works. One of the things that you'll notice about most of these bases is that they are symmetrical. That way we're getting a lot of value. One of the common things you'll see is a diagonal going across the giant arrow, punishing some of these densely packed buildings and these rather symmetrical bases. So we do have 12 lightning spells and 2 earthquake spells. We'll just go ahead and get the attack underway, and I will talk through some of the key things that I have learned watching this attack take place. Very frequently, the Archer Queen is the first thing that comes down along with some... Ooh, pause it. Look. So we hit multi-archer tower. We hit Eagle Artillery. We hit single target Inferno Tower. We got the Clan Castle, the Town Hall, a Scatter Shot, Poison Spell Tower. Pause. X-Bow destroyed some builder huts, other multi-archer tower, monolith, and some storages, and that is a tremendous amount of damage that was dealt. I think it was 11 buildings. And then we immediately follow up with hitting the lightning spells and the earthquake spells, and we're quaking the town hall. And one of the things I'm noticing more than anything is that Duck was primarily targeting the monolith as much as possible. Single target Inferno Towers were possible, and the spell towers. Obviously, we don't need to worry as much about the ricochet cannon, obviously, because it is a ground targeting only troop. Now here's what the sort of next stage is: the log launcher coming in, and because a lot of the stuff has already taken damage from the giant arrow, the log launcher is able to actually finish off a lot of these buildings, like this single target Inferno Tower and like the Eagle Artillery, before anything else even got there. Now, because we do dump all of our spells on the initial approach, we don't have any spell support, which is why the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome combined with the Healing Tome is actually a very strong move for this army composition. The Royal Champion is usually coming in on the back end. Where's the Royal Champion to this attack here? There she is. Royal Champion coming in here with the Spirit Fox to get her as much mileage as possible. We only have the Seeking Shield and a level 15 Royal Gem on her, but she is able to do a lot of work taking out some of the defenses, clearing the road for the dragons, the dragon riders, and the balloons to come blazing through. In this particular version of the attack here, we can see that they are completely cooked, and it all starts with the giant arrow getting a tremendous amount of value. So in a lot of ways, it's like a kind of a zap such and such attack, but what we're doing is essentially getting 2, sometimes 3 doses worth of a zap something attack as we wind up demolishing so much stuff with that giant arrow. So that was the first one. We're going to show you a couple of different versions. We'll probably just quickly show you all 6 of the triples that he ended up getting in Clan War League, which again, good job, Duck. And these are, they're solid defenses. This is Champ 1. Again, a somewhat symmetrical base. You can see that there's going to be value a couple of different directions that you could wind up coming through. And we are starting here with a lightning and earthquake to take out the eagle artillery and the monolith to start, and then we wind up bringing the archer queen. I think she comes on this side here and goes through the town hall. Yeah, this one, she comes through the town hall. So one of the things that I will wind up suggesting you do if you want to practice this attack, definitely you need to do a lot of friendly challenges and practice how that arrow is going to traverse the base, because here we managed to get through scattershot, an X-bow, the both spell towers, town hall, ricochet cannon, scattershot on the other side of the base, and then we wind up deploying the earthquake spell to deal some additional damage, and then some lightning spells to take out the poison spell tower. So you can see that the priority is often going on not only the spell towers, but even the builder huts, because one of the things that's really important about this attack, so, a little bit of funneling from the Barbarian King, and here we come in. Oh, that's what I want to show you. This version here, Duck decided to go with a siege barracks, because now we've got two big, beautiful P.E.K.K.A.s coming out of here to help create some funneling on this base, which then allows the dragons and the dragon riders and the balloons to come in a little bit lower down. One of the important things about the builder hut, you can see here, those guys work fast, right? This builder hut took some damage, and he fixed up his little house, and then he started working on the Inferno Tower. That is one of the things you got to be careful about this attack, is making sure you're keeping an eye on where the builder huts are at and what they are going to do, because sometimes you'll actually be better off taking down a builder hut than possibly putting a killing blow on some other defense, just because that builder hut, by the time the dragons get there, might wind up, I don't know, healing up to, what are they doing, 70 damage, 70 heal per second, I think. So, you could easily wind up seeing them recover 2,000 points of damage by the time your troops wind up getting over to actually attack whatever those buildings are. Another thing I wind up recommending, what I've seen through the attack, is as much as possible, try to make sure that you are coming in and taking out some of the air targeting stuff as quickly as possible. That way you're not going to run into a back end air defense that can certainly cause a lot of problems. Dragons, obviously, with the little bit of a buff recently, definitely going to wind up helping them out. This is a really cool and very powerful army composition. Unfortunately, most of us do not have heavily upgraded. Oh, I was trying to click on the queen. Most of us, oh yeah, you can't do it from this menu. I think that's like a little bit of a glitch right now. So most of us, I am a very huge fan of the Healer Puppet, which you can see when you look at my Archer Queen. My Archer Queen has Healer Puppet and the Invisibility Vial. I do not yet have anything really invested in the Giant Arrow. And what you'll notice is with Duck's army composition, because he has invested a lot in the Giant Arrow. Wait, we said 1, 2, we haven't shown this one yet. My team, Duck, going back in against their number 2. So because I haven't, so Duck has a lot of ore invested in the Healer Puppet and the Giant Arrow, and of course the Barbarian King, he has the Vamp Stash, because the cool people rock the Vamp Stash. Grand Warden, we already saw, has the Healing Tome, and nothing special yet coming for Duck on the Royal Champion's abilities. But we do have a boatload of lightning spells. So most of us are sitting in a position where we have not yet upgraded the Giant Arrow, but after watching Duck absolutely pick apart a lot of these bases during this Clan War League week, I am really excited to potentially start tinkering with this. So here again, we started with some lightning spells. He went after Scattershot and Poison Spell Tower, and an Earthquake spell is going to come in here, popping both of those Poison Spell Towers, because of course it's terrible to slow those dragons down. We've got Earthquake, some lightning spells coming on the side over here, and then the Archer Queen. Archer Queen. I think she comes in on this side. Or does she come in the other side? Oh, she came in the other side, sniping all that stuff out, along with the Log Launcher, which you can see the Log Launcher winds up taking out the Eagle Artillery. Now, we do get 3 healer puppets, 3 healers from the Healer Puppet ability, and Duck brings 1 additional healer to kind of sort of turn this into a nearly traditional setup for a Queen Walk with, of course, no spell support, because, of course, the Rage spell is very important, and because we don't have the Invisibility Vial, we don't have any opportunities to save her if the healers are not able to capitalize on the opportunity she has to maybe stay out of range. But, of course, Grand Warden ability, very important for this army composition, and with a little bit of funneling, we wind up in really good shape. You do see 2 Dragon Riders here. That is what he's running in the Clan Castle. So the Log Launcher, when it pops, normally we wind up getting a pair of Dragon Riders to come in. And, of course, back end, we get the Royal Champion with the Spirit Fox to make sure she is able to take out a ton of those defenses, keeping the Balloons and Dragon Riders pushing in the core at the other defenses, with the Dragons and the Queen usually making up some ground on the outside to finish things off. It can sometimes become something that is a little bit problematic in terms of timing, just because dragons are not notoriously the fastest troop in the game. But when they get a little bit of pathing and they get some help on the ground from the Barbarian King and from the Archer Queen, they can definitely power through these things in a relatively short amount of time, which you can, of course, see here in this attack as well. This is one of the things I like the most about this army, is that my attacks are usually going against, let me see what I attacked in this war here. I attacked this base, which is also somewhat this is symmetrical also. I guess the attack could have worked for this one as well, but I am very heavily on a Zapquake Golem Root Rider army. And what I don't like is really centrally located town halls. This one's a little bit more on the perimeter, so it gives me some play to work with where I can zap out some portion of the base and then sweep my king and queen with a few troops in another portion of the base and then come back through with the rest of my troops. But the centrally located town halls are the ones that I notice, especially because we've started doing a few competitive wars recently, and I find myself personally avoiding the centrally located town halls, but it's something that Duck is very excited to jump right in and take. Here we basically work our way up toward the town hall with some lightnings and some earthquake spells. You can see we wanted to take out some builder huts there. We do have some builder huts working down this direction. A couple of lightning spells to take those out to limit the amount of recovery that will wind up coming. You see there, he literally just went through and took out all of the builder huts as he was softening up some of these other defenses. Archer Queen comes in, immediately fires that giant arrow, and just look at this. Is so crazy. I still can't get over this, even watching this again. I watched this again this morning. All of these buildings taking a decent amount of damage and absolutely splitting this base wide open. Then, of course, followed by the Archer Queen, who now is sitting with 4 healers on her, and then here comes the log launcher. No, this isn't a log launcher one. He put a siege barrack. Oh, this was cool funneling. I remember this one was cool funneling. We get the siege barracks coming over here. Of course, we got our 2 beefy P.E.K.K.A.s in there taking care of business, and then the the dragons, the balloons, the dragon riders coming in on the upper left hand side, 2 more dragon riders coming in down at the bottom, and then using the Grand Warden's Eternal Tome plus healing gem or healing tome to get them through the town hall. And we have a couple of dragon riders becoming menaces down here in the bottom. The other thing that's really nice about this army is you see a lot of expos that are set to ground in the current meta, just because so many people are using root riders. Duck not using any root riders, of course, this becomes a very beneficial thing. Obviously, the ground expos can be a menace for the Archer Queen because they can lock onto her and cause her some additional heartache. But when the majority of what you're getting out of your Archer Queen is actually coming in the opening salvo of the attack, the need for her to necessarily wind up surviving the entire attack is not quite as prevalent as it might otherwise wind up being. We are going to wind up taking a look at the last 2 attacks here from Duck, just because it's really cool, and you're probably not going to be able to see anybody do this anytime soon because most people don't have a max giant arrow, but I'm telling you, I am super excited about this. You can kind of see the writing on the wall. It's a very common, similar layout. You know, got a lot of these bases that are very symmetrical. Look, builder hut, hitting some builder huts, then dropping in the Archer Queen to finish off. Ooh, we missed that builder hut. This is where the practice comes in terms of aiming where you're going to be taking the giant arrow to town. Sometimes what I'm noticing him doing is pre-planning stuff he absolutely wants to get taken down before the giant arrow fires, then firing the giant arrow and saving a couple of lightning spells or earthquake spells to be able to clean up some of the other buildings after the fact. Obviously, you need to know, depending on your level of the giant arrow, how much damage it deals, because that will tell you how many earthquake spells and lightning spells you need in order to finish stuff off, which I don't know if anybody already made a chart for that. Like, you know, if you're using a giant arrow, a max giant arrow, so to speak, along with the number of earthquake spells and lightning spells that would be required to finish off each of the max Town Hall 16 defenses. If I can't find that, I'm probably going to try to make one of those, just because I think that would be something useful for the community. Oh, by the way, make sure you're subscribed to my channel. If you're still watching this far in, you probably already are, but if you're not, take a moment to do that. You can hit the subscribe button an odd number of times. So if you love pushing buttons, push it 3 times, because the second time you push it will unsubscribe you, and then you can subscribe again. And of course, make sure that you are checking out my podcast, Inside Clash with Trample Damage. You get 40 minutes to 45 minutes of ramble damage as I wind up talking through the meta and cool stuff that's sometimes behind the scenes in the creator program, and A lot of times I'll wind up dropping something really early because I can talk about things on my podcast and then have it drop the day that an update comes out, which I have done in the past. But I appreciate any support you can give me on any of my social media, including, of course, using code TRAMPLE. There are many wonderful creators out there, one of which I will tell you is Seth Gaming. If you're a really big fan of cosmetics in the game, actually, check out Seth Gaming. He has a bunch of really cool videos about skins and sceneries and stuff that you might... Ooh, this was a cool one. So yeah, also check out Seth Gaming. He has a pretty cool channel. Very new to the creator program, so, you know, maybe show him some love. If you're not using code TRAMPLE, maybe show some love to Seth Gaming and use code Seth. Here we go with... This was the final war. And the Gladiators Gold, of course, we're rooting for Duck. Look at this, 1 minute and 45. It's a pretty fast attack also, if you do wind up executing this thing. So we're going to go and pop the Archer Queen ability. We're going to wind up being able to dive through all of this stuff right here, dealing a bunch of damage to these buildings. And then, of course, coming back in after the fact with some lightning spells and some earthquake spells to be able to take out some of the rest of these buildings. Archer Queen starts moving up toward the 12 o'clock side. We're quaking the Town Hall and the Monolith just to deal some extra damage. And then we send in some Dragon Riders. There's the log launcher. We're going to push the Queen in toward the core, get her 4th healer on her, and then 2 Dragon Riders. A Dragon Rider, 1 Dragon Rider, I think is what's going to come in here toward the Eagle. There it is, a Dragon Rider and 2 balloons. And then we are going to put the rest of the Hydra over here. So we kind of now have that. Because of the zap quaking and the snipery associated with the Eagle artillery, we've got very nice pathing for the Hydra. The King and Queen working their way across the top with a log launcher coming in, which will disgorge 2 more Dragon Riders to help take out some of these buildings. And this base was absolutely crushed. 6 out of 7 triples. Champion 1 Clan War League. This is not a joke. This is not somebody who... Content creators for years have been doing things where, you know, they'll make an attack and it's like, oh, it was a terrible attack. I'm not going to show that video. This is literally every single day he went in here and delivered a triple, except in War 1 where he had a time fail with a 94%. This is very clean, very slick. It's not the easiest thing to necessarily explain to somebody how to do because each base might have some different variations on what you might be prioritizing in terms of zapping and quaking to go along with the giant arrow. And of course, most of us have not spent money on the giant arrow or spent ore on the giant arrow. Hey, look at that. He's actually maxed by the end. That's good. He got a healer puppet up to level 18 by the time we got to War 7. So that is really good because I think it brings an extra level on the healers. I think that's the benefit for that, plus, you know, whatever other additional benefits we get. I would like to say thank you to my clanmate Duck. He is one of our co-leaders here in the Good Guys. This was such a cool clinic he put on. Of course, we also do have our resident genius and always winner of Clan War League among us, Seaman, who rocks a Queen Charge hybrid, and I got to do a video on his attacks one day because he's just a menace. I think he's like... perfect 3 Clan War Leagues in a row maybe now. I don't know. The guy's a miracle worker. Very glad that we have him. But for this, we are showing you don't need a frozen arrow. If you think maybe you need a frozen arrow, you're wrong. If you think you need the invisibility vial, you're wrong. If you think you need the archer puppet, you are the only person in the world who thinks that you need the archer puppet. We're not going to wind up upgrading that. I do have some more. What should I spend it on? Oh, I'm sitting at that juncture where I need more of the glowy ore so I can start working on some more of my Royal Champion equipment with this base. And I am not a Giant Gauntlet user, so you can see I am definitely somebody who appreciates a more subtle approach with some different types of compositions. But I'm really interested to be able to upgrade the Giant Arrow. In fact, let's go ahead and spend some ore upgrading the giant arrow right now because that's actually going to be a ton of fun to be able to start tinkering with some of these things. And where am I at? I'm at 1,000 points of projectile damage. Not quite the 2,000 plus that we're going to get out of the max, but I'm going to keep putting some ore toward this. I think maybe with the new event that we just heard about, because today is Sunday, March 10th. So we have a new event starting tomorrow where I should be able to pick up some extra ore, and maybe that will let me max my giant arrow so I can be cool like Duck. Again, make sure you're following me on all my content, all my social media, and use code TRAMPLE, and we will check you guys out on the next video.